Hi, my name is Andy Malay, and this is Glimmer DSL for SWT tutorial number 28. Today we're going to go through how to build custom widgets, and we're going to demonstrate that through the Hello Custom Widget sample. So let's get started by launching the sample. And all you can see is a bunch of labels. However, those labels are kind of special. You can see that all of them are doing a sort of a greeting. Hello Sean, aloha Laura, hello Rick, and aloha Mary. And also they have, some of them have special characteristics. I mean, this one is centered, this one is right aligned. This one is not only centered, but it also has colors that are changing every second. So how do we accomplish this in a reusable manner without having to repeat a lot of code? So one way of doing this is to create a custom widget, and custom widgets usually represent one of three things. The first one is basically an enhancement to an existing widget, like label. So here we actually took label and specialized it and made it a greeting label. And then we made the greeting could be different words. It could be hello, it could be aloha. Or you can customize it with other words like howdy. And then the target of the greeting is the person that you're greeting, and that's the name. So there's a name element in it, which is Sean, Laura, Rick, or Mary. So this is the first use of custom widgets. It's basically to take an existing widget like label and enhance it and do something else with it or something more specialized with it. And repetitive usually, like if you want to repeat this pattern many times and you don't want to rewrite the same code over and over again, you just create a custom widget. The second use of custom widgets is basically aggregation. You aggregate multiple existing widgets. So the biggest example of that is a name and address form. As you can see, a lot of applications out there will ask you for your name and address information, as well as perhaps payment information like credit card data, etc. And so that form could be repeated in many pages, and that form could be created as a custom widget called the name and address form, or just address form. And the third use of custom widgets is basically creating brand new widgets that are completely new visual concepts. So for example, if I want to build, let's just say, a baseball ballpark and use it in order to plan baseball games, where I can plant on it players around different locations like first base, second base, third base, etc. I can create basically a ballpark widget, custom widget, and then be able to click on the different bases within it and designate them for players. So that is an example of creating a brand new concept. So unlike options 1 and 2, which are about taking existing widgets and doing something different with them, this one is more about creating a brand new widget from scratch. And usually that involves the canvas widget. So you would use the canvas widget as the base of your custom widget, and you would create brand new concepts with that. In any case, let's focus on the first example, which is enhanced labels. So if we were to look at the code, we got a class called greeting label, and the first thing you want to do is include Glimmer UI custom widget as a mix-in, and that would designate this greeting label as a custom widget. And then you can declare options that you want to receive. So we want to receive the name, and we want to receive colors. If colors is empty, we will just keep the color black, but otherwise we might do something with them if we receive them. And then you can also declare options with default values. So we have an option of greeting here, and the default is hello. And after that, you can declare general attributes that you want to use internally and not necessarily expose as options, like label color. And then here, these two methods let you declare custom observers or listeners on the custom widget. I'm going to skip them for now. We'll take a look at them in a little bit, but let's focus on the basics first. After that, it's just like building any app. You have a body, that has the GUI details, and then you have a before body hook and an after body hook to execute things that will initialize variables and that will set up some events or listeners afterwards. So the body is simply a label that receives an SWT style. SWT style is a pre-canned attribute or option on all custom widgets. You always have that. This is just to stay consistent with the rest of the SWT widgets, which always receive an SWT style as the first argument. So that means if you build a custom widget and somebody gives you an SWT style as the first argument, it'll get passed here. And then it's got a text. And here you can see the specialization of the use of the label. It basically uses the greeting. It puts a comma, the name, and then a bang, and or an exclamation point. And then there's a font. There's a foreground color, which is pulled from label color. And this could have been just unidirectional data binding. Bidirectional data binding would still work, but it's actually unidirectional. You don't need the other direction because you cannot change the color from the label. But you receive color changes from the variable on the view. In any case, the last thing you want to do is, if we were to go back, well, I'll revisit this in a moment. If we were to go to before body, you can see it's initializing some variables here. Like a default font and label color. After body, it actually will check if colors are not passed, nil, we won't do anything. But if they're passed, we'll create a new thread. We'll cycle through the colors endlessly. That's what this method does in Ruby. And for every color, we're going to set the label color to it. And then we're going to execute any custom listeners we have for color changed. And which I'll get to in a moment, and then we're going to sleep for a second. This is what's happening over here. Afterwards, you want to make sure that you're always cleaning after yourself. So if the widget gets closed, meaning the widget disposed event will get fired. Here you can say on widget disposed, kill the thread. Like make sure it doesn't run forever. You don't want to leak resources or leak threads. So this is an example of cleaning after yourself. Here we can kill the thread safely because we're not doing any data changes in it, but there are more safe ways of killing, like stopping threads if you have data manipulation happening in it. In any case, let's jump into the Glimmer code that is using this greeting label. The first thing you need to know is when you create a class with the name greeting label, by convention, the custom widget name is going to match it exactly in underscore case. So it'll be underscore, it'll be basically lowercase greeting underscore lowercase label. So now if you go here and include Glimmer, it'll automatically pull in the Glimmer DSL as well as any custom widgets that have been declared before this call. So now here we can call greeting label. So not only can I use, for example, a basic label, but I can also use a greeting label now. So a greeting label is like a first-class citizen now. It's a new keyword that you can use in the Glimmer syntax. And in this example, we're passing it the name. So that if you just pass it a name and the greeting by default is hello, it's going to say hello, Sean. In the second example, we're passing the name as Laura and the greeting as aloha. But not only that, not only are we passing options like keyword args, but we're also passing the first default argument that any SWT widget expects, which is an SWT style. So if you style a label as center, it's going to center it. So that's why this one is centered. The greeting is aloha, so that's why it's aloha here, and then the name is Laura. The third one is demonstrating how, okay, so the name is Rick. The label is aligned right, but it's also demonstrating that you can open the body of a custom widget and then nest in any properties that would have worked within the original widget that is being customized. And that is the root of the body of the custom widget. So here in the body, the root is a label. So that's the widget that you can basically add properties for within the body of a custom widget. So if you declare foreground red, this property has to exist on label, and it does. And that's what customized the color red. So that means this is open for you adding any properties that are available in SWT. I don't have to go to the custom widget and support every one of them manually. They're all supported automatically for you for the root widget and the custom widget, which is very helpful. Finally, in the final example, not only are we passing an SWT style and a bunch of options, but also we're passing the colors option. Red, dark green, blue. These are the colors we passed. And then we're also using a custom listener. So you can even declare custom listeners on your custom widgets. So we're supporting a new listener that is not supported on a basic label, which is onColorChanged. And here onColorChanged, we're going to receive the color and then we're going to print it to the console. So label color changed and then the color. So if I were to go to the terminal, you can see here it's printing them over and over and over. Red, dark green, blue, red, dark green, blue. And that is because of using this custom listener. So now I can go back to the definition of the label and explain how this works. So basically you have to override handle observation request and then intercept it and say, okay, if the event that is being handled matches this word on color changed, this keyword, add the block to the list of handlers that should handle that event. Otherwise, do super. That means just go and support the rest of the listeners that a basic label supports. So that way we won't interfere with basic SWT support for the root element of the custom widget, which is a label. And here, just like how in Ruby, when you support method missing, you have to support respond to. Here, whenever you support handle observation request, you have to support can handle observation request ? And I'm simply declaring that onColorChanged is available. And then I say super afterwards if it's not. If the event doesn't match it, sorry. So that's pretty much it. And that facilitates us using a listener. In fact, this supports multiple listeners. So that means I can nest multiple blocks of onColorChanged here if I want that are doing different things. They will all get called on every color changed. But the key is that here in the thread, when it's cycling through the colors, after it changes the color, it's going to take those handlers that we set up over here, and it's going to loop through them, basically iterate through them and call every single one of them with the color that has just changed. And then it's going to sleep for a second in a different thread, so that way it will not affect the main thread. So that demonstrates the fourth example of greeting label, which is the most advanced example, which is basically a cycling color greeting label. So, I mean, you can see how this capability of supporting custom widgets is very helpful in building bigger apps. Like I mentioned earlier, if you wanted to simulate a baseball ballpark, you would create a ballpark widget. That is a brand new concept, and you would give it a whole bunch of events, custom events like, player changed base, etc. And you can do a whole bunch of things with it that are custom only to that widget. So again, to summarize, custom widgets are helpful for enhancing existing widgets. So that's option number one. Option number two is aggregating existing widgets, like a name and address form. And then option number three is creating brand new custom widgets. Usually they're canvas based. So that way you render their visual data, like their visual look pixel by pixel if you want, or by using the canvas shape DSL by using squares and circles, etc., or even background images and whatnot. So that's pretty much it. In order to learn more about Glimmer DSL for SWT, check out the GitHub project.